There is a kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with how many hours you worked. You are tired not because you did too much. You are tired because you needed every single thing you did to turn out a certain way. Krishna had a name for this trap. Picture this. A great war is about to begin. Arjuna, one of the finest warriors alive, sits in his chariot between two armies and cannot move. Not because he lacks skill, because he is overwhelmed by what might happen, by consequence, by outcome. His body goes cold, his bow slips from his hand, his charioteer, Krishna, turns to face him, and what follows is one of the most concentrated pieces of practical philosophy ever recorded, the Bhagavad Gita. Here is the first thing to understand. Kurukshetra is not ancient India. Kurukshetra is your Monday morning. It is the moment before a difficult conversation, a creative submission, a performance review. Arjuna's paralysis is yours, and Krishna's central answer to that paralysis is a principle called Nishkama Karma, action without attachment to its fruit. Put simply, do the work fully and release the outcome completely. Let's be precise about what Nishkama Karma is not. It is not indifference. It is not the philosophy of someone who no longer cares. That reading has caused a great deal of confusion because it sounds at first like an invitation to stop trying. It is the opposite. Chapter 2, verse 47 of the Gita gives us the exact formulation. The Sanskrit is Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Translated cleanly, you have a right to your action, never to its fruit. Not the fruit doesn't matter, not give up. Your right extends precisely as far as the action itself. The moment the action is complete, what follows belongs to a system far larger than you. This is what Krishna calls Phala Tyaga, the renunciation of the fruit. Not the renunciation of effort, the fruit. Now look at where modern burnout actually lives. It does not live in the work. It lives in the constant inner monitoring that runs alongside the work. You send an email, then you monitor whether it was received well. You have a conversation, then you replay it for hours, measuring how it landed. You make something, then you refresh a screen waiting for the world's verdict. This monitoring, this parallel process of anxious outcome watching is what drains you, not the email. Not the conversation, not the work. Nishkama Karma is the practice of switching off the monitoring process while leaving the effort entirely intact. Act with complete presence. Bring everything you have. Then, and this is the difficult part, let the result travel wherever results travel without reaching after it. What happens psychologically when you do this? The action itself becomes cleaner. You are no longer splitting your attention between doing the thing and managing your anxiety about how the thing will be received. That reclaimed attention goes back into the work. Paradoxically, you perform better. The action becomes lighter and more precise precisely because it is not weighted down by the outcome it must produce. 2,000 years later, Marcus Aurelius arrived at the same conclusion and called it Amor Fati, the love of fate. The Gita got there first. This is not mysticism. It is mechanics. The result was never yours to control. Nishkama Karma is simply the honesty to act as if that is true, because it is. The professional considers someone who is genuinely good at their work. They are not lazy. They prepare carefully. They deliver consistently. They stay late when it matters. And yet they are exhausted in a way that a week of leave does not fix. The symptom is this. Every meeting, every email, every project becomes a referendum on their worth. They are not just doing their job. They are watching their job, measuring it, interrogating each interaction for signs of how they are perceived. The promotion that didn't come lands like a verdict on who they are. The critical feedback replays for weeks. This is not ambition. This is the fruit attachment that Krishna diagnosed on the battlefield. The work itself is fine. What is consuming this person is the relentless demand that the work return a particular result. Nishkama Karma does not tell this person to stop caring about quality. It tells them to stop making the outcome a condition of their own equilibrium. Do the work at the highest level you can reach. Let the organization, the market, the timing, the vast system outside your control determine what follows. You had a right to the preparation, the meeting, the delivery, never to the promotion. The action does not change. The relationship to outcome does. The parent or partner. There is a particular exhaustion that comes from loving someone anxiously. You give generously, you show up consistently, you do the things that love asks, and then you quietly monitor whether it is working, whether they are happy enough, whether the relationship is secure enough, whether your love is being returned in the right measure. The burnout here is not from giving, it is from the audit that accompanies giving. Every act of care becomes a small investment whose return you are privately tracking. Krishna teaching cuts through this not by asking you to love less, but by asking you to love without the audit. The act of care is yours. What it produces in another person, how they receive it, whether it changes them, that was never within your jurisdiction. A parent who understands this does not love less carefully. They love more freely. And the relationship breathes. The giving does not change. The monitoring stops. The creator. Someone who once made things has stopped making them, not because the desire left. The desire is still there, pressing against the inside of their chest every morning. They stopped because they could not absorb another rejection, another piece of work sent out and returned with silence. The fruit had become the reason for the action, and when the fruit stopped coming, the action stopped feeling possible. Nishkama Karma reaches into this particular paralysis with unusual precision. It says, the making was always the thing. The sending was an action. What the world does with what you send, that belongs to the world. If you made something true, something genuinely formed from your attention and care, then you exercised your right fully. The rest was never your jurisdiction. This does not mean indifference to craft. It means separating the quality of the work, which is yours to govern, from the reception of the work, which is not. The creator who understands this does not stop submitting. They stop flinching. The work does not change, the flinching stops. The practice for this week is called the Nightly Phala Tyaga, a 3-minute end-of-day ritual of releasing the fruit of what you have already done. Each evening, before you sleep, take a notebook and write down 3 things you did that day. Any 3. A conversation, a decision, something you made, something you sent. Beside each one, write a single sentence. The result of this is not mine. Write it not as resignation, not as defeat, but as a statement of fact, because it is a fact. The action was yours. The result belongs to the larger system it entered. Over the course of the week, you will begin to notice which actions you have been quietly holding hostage to particular outcomes. The places where your energy is still gripping rather than releasing will become visible. That visibility is the beginning of the practice. Try this for the next 7 days. Notice what shifts. When Nishkama Karma becomes something you actually live rather than something you have read, the texture of daily life changes in a specific way. Ambition does not disappear. It clarifies. You find you can want things without requiring them. You can work toward outcomes without being governed by them. Outcomes become surprises rather than verdicts. A good result is a gift. A difficult result is information. Neither one is a judgment on who you are. This is precisely what Krishna meant when he told Arjuna, still sitting frozen in his chariot, that yoga is skill in action. Not skill in predicting outcomes, skill in the action itself, freed from the weight of what must follow. That is the lighter life the Gita is pointing toward. Not a life without stakes, a life without the exhaustion of demanding that every stake fall your way. If this resonated, subscribe. Every Chariot of the Self video ends with a practice you can use this week. Next time, we look at what the Upanishads knew about anxiety that modern therapy is only just beginning to discover.